Yes. Okay. Well, anyway, no. To make it short, let's say she was at home, or somebody was on the other side of the line, or something like that. Whatever complements a copulative verb is a subjective complement.
Okay. And the last question for the time.
Sorry, by the way, you know what? The subjective complement has, a specific feature. What? It can be absolutely every possible category.
Because I thought that it was only adjectival phrases.
Now, for example, this is the first thing that comes to our minds. For example, if I tell you, Jack is, fill in the blanks, and you say, intelligent, tall, hardworking, etc., etc., etc. Okay, but you can say, Jack is my friend, Jack is my father, Jack is a teacher, Jack is at home, Jack is outside, well, etc. Jack is who I hate the most. I mean, the category for the subjective complement can be anything. Okay.
Okay, and my last question is, a subordinating clause that starts with for, which is not a preposition. It is in one extract, I think. How do I have to consider it? Because in the key it says complementizer, but it's not a feature we are used to here.
Okay, good point. Well, precisely, that is, there are a couple of features, let's say. You must have noticed, for example, that the way of identifying, let's say, I want to pass grammar. This too is an infinitival marker.
Yes.
That is the category, okay? That category is the one category that appears in capital letters.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, for some reason, in a way, because you know what? Before the 1950s, it was considered, I want to pass grammar. To pass grammar was considered to be an infinitival phrase. Okay, in the past, this was to be considered an infinitival phrase. Well, in all of the traditional frameworks, right? Not any longer, definitely. In a way, well, with something that Chomsky came up with, then we have discovered that the non-final ones are also clauses. And they should be treated the same way as all other clauses. Okay? Meaning
that we have to divide it into subject and predicate.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the worst insult that you can, you can tell me whatever you want to, but don't tell me, this is an infinitival phrase. Okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, or a gerundial phrase or a participle phrase, okay, or even if, because you will find this on Google, okay, all the time, but definitely escape from there, okay, because this is way too outdated.
Okay.
For sure. So, then, or probably you can call it in some other way. That's not problematic, but as long as you recognize that there's two in a pass grammar, I want to do this, etc. This two is not a preposition. Okay, right? Well, then Chomsky came out with some sentences such as, for example, let me put it this way. If I say, I want my friend to past grammar, okay? Probably not because I want my friend, probably I hate my friend and I don't want to see him any longer, okay? I don't want to see him any longer, you know, in my grammar courses, okay? As a teacher, that's why, you know, I want him to pass grammar once and for all, you understand? So it's not that I want him, okay? What I want is my friend to pass grammar. Okay, so the DO for want is my friend to pass grammar. In that case, you do have an overt subject, which is my friend. Okay? If somebody says, let's say, or if you say, Susan wants to pass grammar, there are two clauses there. One main clause, okay, the wanting clause, okay, and the passing grammar clause. Okay, the subject for want is Susan. Okay, then what is the subject for to pass grammar? Well, pro. And this pro co-refers with Susan. Well, who came up with pro? Chomsky. Okay, so Chomsky discovered that this is the subject of a non-finite clause. Okay, whenever you don't have the overt subject. Okay, right? In a way, what I'm telling you is that at this point then, we are resorting to some kind of modernized traditional framework. Okay, of course, we cannot disregard some issues, you know, that the infinitival ones are also clauses and that also contain a subject and a predicate. Okay, well, and again, something that Chomsky came up with was something like, I want for my friend to pass grammar. Okay, so this for, in a way, is the element, the category that is introducing a non-finite clause. Okay, well, this for works pretty much the same way as a subordinating conjunction in the case of the finite clauses. Okay, all right. Chomsky, later on, we will get to see that he makes a clear parallelism between them. Okay, and in this case, for is not a preposition. This sentence, I want for Jack, or I want for them to pass grammar, may sound a bit weird because it's no longer used, to tell you the truth. Okay, but it is possible. Okay, so this for, or the other one is of. Well, the other one is of. These are the two that we will call complementizers when they are introducing non-finite clauses, infinitival, gerundial, or participial. Okay?
Sometimes you don't mention for, you say, I want him to.
Yes, yes. Very frequently you don't mention that. Yes, exactly. Okay? Very frequently you don't mention it.
Sorry. Is it the same to use the label non-finite clause and infinitival clause?
Non-finite clause is an umbrella term for different non-finite clauses, infinitival, gerundial, or participial. Okay, so we will specify the type of non-finite clause, so no need to write down non-finite clause. Okay, within non-finite clauses you have infinitival, gerundial, or participial. So we will make a point of which of them you have there. Okay. Clear?
Yes, I have some questions about the assignments 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, come on.
One is there was one later at the beginning of the sentence, later, and then the sentence kept on in assignment I think it's the last one of the last ones. Yes, the last one of extract 3. And I was wondering how can I tell whether it's a conjunct or an adjunct, because it's like later, and it can kind of connecting in a way the two sentences. But on the other hand, I thought, well, perhaps I can change place of later, and it's correct. And then if I change places, it's an adjunct or not.
Okay, good point. Well, you know, it depends on whether this is part of the so-called predication or not. Imagine that you have a sentence like, I know, Susan went to the cinema. Full stop. The next sentence comes. Later, she went to the, whatever, to drink some coffee. Okay? This later has to do with the predication. This is when she did that. Okay? This is when she went to drink some coffee or whatever it was.
Okay.
Right? In that case, it's an adjunct. Okay? The same happens with some other words that are, these adverbs that are rather short, such as now, for example. Okay? Well, many others, okay, that are very short, sometimes they are part of the predication. For example, if I tell you, now I'm talking in English, or now we will see, I don't know, this topic. Okay, well, this is when we will see these topics. This is when we will do, I don't know what.
Okay. So it's kind of, you change the position just to keep on, or to emphasize, or whatever.
Yes, and you will realize, because of the context, if you understand the paragraph that you're given.
Yes,
okay?
yes. I thought I put an adjunct, but I was like, in a way. And in the same sentence, we have the courage to face her destiny. Plucked up, I think, I don't know.
Yes.
The courage to face her destiny. I was kind of doubting whether the to face her destiny was a post modifier, which was the key, the post modifier. But in a way, why isn't an adjunct of purpose? So it's kind of very, very near to the noun phase.
Yes.
The noun phase,
these two versions. Yes. Yes, like, I see your point. Yes.
I'm not sure.
There is a very slight difference between them. Okay.
Yes, I know. One is pointing at the noun.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And the other one is pointing at the verb.
Okay, so whenever we have a noun and then it's very near, it's very close to an infinitival clause, in general, there is this kind of relation of post-modifying thing instead of.
But again,
I don't know.
It will have to do with interpretation. It will have to do with interpretation.
With okay. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, to tell you the truth, in actual fact, one of them will be the right answer. Now, what can I tell you? There is a slight difference in meaning between them. Okay? So, probably very frequently I have assertive either. Okay? Right? Or probably in an example, you ask me, does this refer to, and then I give you some kind of clue. Okay?
Yes, whenever you have a compound BP, you have lots of verbs that are that have the same subject. In that case, do you mark in a way with brackets or whatever the phrases, the verbal phrases, or you don't mark anything? No, because it's not a clause.
The whole predicate eventually is a compound verbal phrase. In the very same way, for example, a GO can be a compound noun phrase, or a subjective complement can be a compound prepositional phrase. Meaning,
but you don't mark the parts. You don't mark the parts, no, because it's not a clause and you don't mark anything.
No need. Because it will be clear, the moment you say compound whatever phrase, it will be clear what the heads of this compound
phrase. And they are marked.
Yes,
and they are marked.
And they are marked there. What the heads are. Yes, exactly.
When it comes to a compound noun phrase, like, you know, my wife, my children, my profession, and my country, do you put the O compound noun phrase, and then only the heads and the pre-modifiers, or you have to put that each of them are a noun phrase? Like my profession is a noun phrase.
No, definitely no. The simpler the better. No need to do that.
Great.
Meaning head, pre-modifier, post-modifier, head, pre and post, etc. No. Okay.
Great. In the case of the verb lay, in the key, it's treated as a copula verb, lay. How do we?
Yes.
Is there a list? Is there a criterion that that certain verbs of position or like, you know, certain verbs like live or whatever? I don't know. Is there any? I don't know how to how to experience.
To tell you the truth, there are lists. I mean, you can go lists, but you know, this is
depends on the context, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. But
the thing is, I didn't think about lay as a copula verb. I thought, well,
why is it a copula, lay?
Right. What I can tell you is the following. Think of what, to begin with, it can very well be let's say replaced by the verb was. Let's see, was or were, or I don't know, depending on what
like
the subject is.
Exists, like the verb exists, or that kind of verbs that can be.
But exists, does the verb exist mean something else? If you tell me, for example, say, God exists.
No. There's no need of a subjective complement. No.
Okay. But what I was about to say is, think of some of them when they prefer, you know, a kind of complement that is adjectival. Okay, most of them, okay, for example,
like become or
absolutely, yes. Become is definitely copulative, yes.
But if I say grow, for instance.
Okay, but grow, for example, if you say she grow older, okay, in that case, it's copulative verb. Okay, right? Compare with, let's say, she grows, I don't know, pumpkins. Okay, TV.
Yes, that's a transitive.
Yes. Okay.
I have a question, because last year when we were analyzing the verb types, we used Hageman's system. So for those who carried, let's say, or selected adverbial complement, they were called transitive plus adverbial complement. So just transitive, they would be I'm asking about lay because I wouldn't classify it as a copula verb. That is why.
But I don't see the connection with what you said before. I don't understand your question, truly, I think.
Okay, for one question was, why would you classify lay as a copula verb? And the other one is, we shouldn't use the label transitive plus adverbial complement, right? Just transitive.
Just
and
transitive.
Adverbial complement, you used objective complement,
Subjective,
right?
no, subjective, depending on whether they refer to the subject or the object.
Great.
Okay. Why is that? Well,
lay isn't
because
transitive. I lay my head, and lie is intransitive, or I'm
it depends. No, careful with this. No, because there are different types of verb. Lay, okay? Lay, the past tense of lie, to be in a horizontal position, okay? Right? That is copulative, okay? But to lay the table, okay, to lay an egg, okay, TV, that's nothing to do with the
Tommy confused them because he said, the other girl, I don't know the name, he said lay, but he was meaning late, the past of lie.
Yes, exactly.
That was the confusion.
Yes. L-A-Y, the past tense of the verb to lie, that is the copulative verb. Okay? To be in a horizontal position. Okay? Compare with to lay, I don't know, the table, an egg, or I don't know, something like that, similar to put, let's say, TV. Now I see your point. Okay.
Whenever you have a passive construction, you should put passive in the main verb.
Yes. Why? For example, if I say, I don't know, that book was read by Jack. Okay. Well, read is a TV. Only that there is no GO, because the GO has become the subject of the passive construction. Okay, so we need to make a point of that, right?
Okay. And when it comes to,
if you have an auxiliary for if you have an auxiliary for the passive voice, then you will have either a TV or a DITV in the passive.
There's a construction that was with for me to disregard. This was not an offer for me to disregard, and in the key it says pseudo intransitive verb to disregard, and I wouldn't write that because I thought it was a transitive verb, and I was like, I don't know, kind of confused with that.
But no, the point is the following: the moment you write down TV, you need to have a GO. Okay. Otherwise, for example, there are
or that if it's a passive construction, you should put passive to state that the GO is not there.
Exactly. Let me do something because now it kind of give me a second, because out of this, I will clarify something, I think. But let me check out, some names just in case. Claudio Almada, Sabrina Calderón, Carla de la Fuente.
Yes, here.
Okay. Jimena Herrera, Mayelnis, Mayra Medina, Melina Percana.
Yeah.
Okay. Luciana Pereira. I think she was, no, probably was wrong. Tatiana, no. Aldana, Poblete. Diana Ramírez.
Here.
Okay. Zoe Verón. Paula Finke.
Here.
Okay. Iliana Zubicki. Noé Caro.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Okay. Hello. Romina Quintana. And yes, that you have. Okay. Well. So let's pick up what I think Gabriela was saying.
This was not an offer for me to disregard.
Okay. The point is the following. If you do write, TV somewhere, okay? Well, the same was true for, whenever you write TV, you need both the O and the GO. So you need to have the GO. Now, there are, let's say, 3 exceptions to this rule. Okay? For example, if you say that I don't know, that book was published in blah, 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 whatever. Well, let's focus on this one, on the predicate. Here, this is a verbal group. This is an auxiliary for the passive voice, right? So if we do have an auxiliary for the passive voice, then we can write down here IV. We will write down that this is a TV, but the problem is that if we write down a TV, where the hell is the GO? The GO is the book, has become the subject of the construction. That's why we need to write down in the passive. So passivization is one of the cases in which you have a TV. You need to make a point of this so as to show that there is no GO. Okay?
But we have to write TV and passive or just passive? Both. Oh, okay,
because it could have been a dative, it could have been a dative in the passive.
Okay.
Right? For example, if you have something like he was given a book. Given is a dative in the passive. That's why one of the objects is not there. Okay? Right? If I say he was given this book. Okay. Oops. To here. From was given this book. This is a verbal group. This is the auxiliary for the passive voice. This is a dative. We should have 2 objects. One is there, no problem. What for the other? The other has become the subject of the passive construction. Okay, that's why we need to write down here somewhere that is in the passive. Whether you use the same bracket or not, meaning here within, that's up to you. So far so good? So passivization is one of the ways in which either the object or one of the objects is not present. Then, let's say exceptions to this. The second type is also a grammatical case in which the geo is not present, which is in some defining relative clauses, in the gapped ones, in the, let's say, specifically, in the finite gapped ones, particularly. For example, we have the book she was reading, let's write down. The book she was reading was, well, whatever, long. This is a subject.
And in those cases in which
within the subject,
the that is overt, no,
omitted.
Omitted, yes.
Omitted.
It's still a that noun clause, or no?
Not that one. For example, if you say, she said I was stupid, it's still a that noun clause. That is still a that noun clause. Okay?
Okay.
Yes. By the way, this is not a that noun clause. You must have noticed that here there is something that has been omitted. Okay? This is saying the book that she was reading was long. Okay? But this is not a that noun clause. What kind of clause is this one? To anybody?
Defining relative.
Absolutely. This is a defining relative clause. Okay? Not a that noun clause. It's not null. The defining relative clause adjectival. It's telling us something of the book. Okay? Right? So this works as a post modifier, which is a defining relative clause. So look. Now, in this case, we need to define it into subject and predicates as we all do with all of the clauses. Let's say subject, pronominal phrase, head, pronoun, and the rest is the predicate for the phrase. Within the predicate, here you have verbal group, you have an auxiliary for the progressive aspect, and reading is clearly what kind of verb?
Transitive verb, but it's a gapped.
Absolutely. It's a TV.
Yes.
It's a TV. Transitive. But it has been omitted because this one has already been mentioned. This is precisely the antecedent clause. You really the book, but the book is also the clause, right? The book here is, let's say,
Jose,
this is
just, I have a question regarding how to
yes.
to write the gap, because when I attended the subject with Cecilia Britos, I was told to write an arrow, like dots, an arrow horizontally, and then I write trace, and then the word DO, gap. How do you tell me to write the gap? It is out of date, the way I was.
Exactly. So much so that you know what? Because trace comes from, in Chomskyan terminology. But you know what? Now, no longer Chomsky uses that. Okay. So a point is very latest, let's say, the one of 1995.
Yes.
Come on, not so late.
¿Sienten que se corta?
Sí, se corta.
Okay.
Sí. Sí. So I just have to write a DO or whatever and gap between brackets, and that's it. The way just I have to show the gap, and that's it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, that's
And
right. That's right. Probably is my connection. Whether
and
let me
the
see whether
difference.
it's any now.
Sorry.
But in the case
Is it any better now?
Yes.
Yes. But in the case of an offer for me to disregard, in that case, there's a gap.
Wait. No. Wait.
Sorry.
Now,
the difference between the number 2 and number 1, we use the gap because the DO is outside the clause. That's why.
Yes. Well.
Because in the previous one we didn't use.
There are different types of constructions. Let's say one thing is through passivization.
Yes.
Meaning the DO has become the DO, or even the IO has become the subject of a clause. Okay, this is one thing. Quite another thing is to elide, to provide a gap, let's say, to elide the DO. Why? Because nobody would say such a thing as the book she was reading, the book was long. No need for you to repeat the book. Okay, right? Because it has already been mentioned. It's the antecedent of the clause, actually. Okay, so it's a different type of grammatical construction. Passivization and relative clauses are different types of constructions. Okay, right? And yet there is some other one.
So in the case of this kind of post modifiers that are defining relative clauses, you state that it's transitive, no matter the book is not explicit, because there's a gap. The gap would be the DO. That's the point, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. That's why you mark it overtly there, that way. Okay? Now, the third one is, The first two are grammatical types of constructions. What I mean by grammatical, they are syntactic type of constructions. Okay, passivization, or what you have in defining relative clauses, they are syntactic types of constructions. There is a third one, which is not syntactic, not necessarily syntactic, but contextual or semantic. This contextual reason or semantic reason. What I mean by contextual is pragmatic, but just contextual with you. Yeah. Okay. Very frequently, you have examples in which the geo is not there all the time, meaning TV is working as if it were an IV, meaning without an object. This happens all the time, and this happens in, well, I don't know whether in all of the languages, but at least in all of the Western languages. In that case, we'll call that a pseudo IV. Meaning, let me give you some examples. If I tell you, let's say,
what about the window broke, for example?
Okay, no, that's a different thing. That's a different. When I finish with this, with number 3, to come up with that one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. For example, my dad is drinking. If somebody tells you this, you can very well recognize where the geo is. Okay? In this case, for contextual reasons, I try to be, to resort to a euphemism, because in a way, what I'm saying is my dad is drinking a lot of alcohol, not just alcohol, but a lot of it. Okay, the sentences tell you this. Okay, in this case, then, well, this is a predicate. Of course, my dad is the subject. This is the head of a group. Well, auxiliary for the progressive aspect, you very well know. And here we will write down pseudo IV. What we're saying is that we recognize some geo to be there, only that this geo has been elided not through a grammatical construction, but because of contextual reasons, because you will understand what I'm talking about. Okay? This happens all the time. Imagine, let's say, in a conversation, well, not actually a conversation, but in a dialogue between teacher-student, and the teacher comes out with something like, Have you understood? Okay. In this case, it's not a question of, let's say, euphemism, as in the first example, okay? But because of pragmatic reasons, the subject here is should, have understood is the predicate, okay, within which all of this is precisely the verbal group. Have is the auxiliary for the perfective aspect. And this is also a pseudo wifey. What we are seeing here is that there is a clear geo which has been elided because of contextual reasons. Meaning what? That this teacher does not feel the need to say, have you understood what I just explained? Or have you understood this topic? You see, there is a question of pragmatics there. Okay? Now, see, this is something that all the time we resort to. Okay? Or, for example, if you say such a thing as, let's say, imagine that there is a notice on the wall that says, do not touch. It's clear from the context what you're supposed not to touch. But touch is clearly ATV, only that the geo is not present there. Understand the idea of pseudo wifey?
Yes, I've got a question because I was thinking of the verb arrive. Arrive is a copular verb, but we can say she arrived.
No. I wouldn't say that arrive is copulative. No. No. Arrive is an ivy. Okay. You can say arrive in Buenos Aires, arrive at the cinema, arrive, I don't know, whatever. Okay. What time did you arrive at the airport? Okay. Or probably in a context, you say, what time did you arrive? Okay.
Exactly. Arrive is intransitive, right?
Intransitive.
Yes.
Intransitive.
Intransitive because it needs a complement, which can be an obligatory complement, right? You arrive at the airport.
Yes. And it can be turned into the let's say the subject of a passive construction. No, it's intransitive. Arrive is intransitive. Okay.
And what about at home? What is it?
Well, at home is in general terms, let's say, is the adverbial accent of place. It can be some other thing, to tell you the truth, but we'll leave this for some other time, depending on the context.
And two things, Jose. In this example, an offer for me to disregard.
Precisely, yes. For me to disregard, okay?
Because offer is mentioned, and it's like the book that in the first example, or I don't know, the second, you have an antecedent also, but it's finite. I know that different that it's a finite clause.
Yes, exactly. That one is a non-finite clause then. And we resort to this one, the geo gap, only in the finite definite relative clauses. Okay? right?
Yes, I see your point, but I think that there's something like in a kind of gap in the non-finite also, because you
To
say
tell you the truth, yes. To tell you the truth, you're right. Yes. To tell you the truth, you're right. Yes,
because you say an offer for me to disregard, and then the offer is the thing to disregard.
Yes, but it's outside. Yes, it's outside. Yes, exactly. So as not to repeat the noun phrase, the offer. Yes, exactly. So yes, you're right in a way that is kind of clearly connected to that one. Okay.
So the thing would be that there is no gap in non-finite clauses.
That's the point.
And if there's no gap, there's no gap, there's no do, and that's why it's pseudo. Because then
exactly. Yes.
Okay. And when as Male said, that those verbs like go, for example, go, don't they, or arrive, go, don't they need a complement like
they do. They do.
Because you said adjunct and
no, in one case they do. Yes, good point. You know, and here comes, and please remember this, because you know, take for granted that this is already mentioned, but anyway, let me if we have, let me repeat it. You know, one thing, he went to the theater. Oh, I don't know, whatever. Okay? The verb go is the one verb that, to begin with, this is definitely not transitive at all, mind you. The verb to go has never been and will never be, well, never, say never. Let's say go in this very frequent construction is not transitive. Careful with that, because I've seen it, I don't know how many thousands of times, okay? Say, this is doing what, you know, and you will see the blood coming out of my ears or out of my nose, my ears, or whatever it is, okay? Now, go is never, ever transitive. Go can be copulative, for example, in he went crazy. Okay, in that case, it's copulative. In this other use, the typical use of the verb to go, okay, this is an IV.
Intransitive, yes.
Yes.
Right? Because the theater is a complement, which is obligatory,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And what about arrived at the theater?
Give me a second, I'm coming to it. Okay, but this is a subjective complement. This is necessary piece of information. We cannot just say he went, full stop. We would have said he went away or he left. Okay, in this case, the PP. So
but why, Jose, why is it not an adverbial complement instead of subjective complement?
No, I'm not saying that it's not. Tell the truth.
But they are not different functions.
I don't like that terminology. No. Wecker Hagemann, 1995. Resort to this terminology, either adverbial complement or predicative complement. But why? These authors are genitivists. And you will get to see that in the genitive framework, we resort to a different thing. Meaning, we won't write down the functions. That's why they feel they need to identify this. In a way, what they are saying by identifying this as a verbal complement or predicative complement is that they are telling you the category of a kind of complement. Now, in this other framework, if we do write down that this is a PP, all of the PPs, or all of the adverbial phrases, or all of the adverbial clauses, okay, will be, in a way, adverbial complements. So there is no point to resort to this any longer. Okay? I'm not saying that this is not an adverbial complement. It is an adverbial complement. But the point is, if we do mention the function and the category, then why they need to say adverbial complement? To mix up category and function. Okay? Right? So forget about that. Definitely. In this framework, forget about adverbial complement or predicative complement.
Okay.
And we'll just focus on what this complement complements. Does it refer to the subject? Does it refer to the object? And eventually to some other thing, for example, to some adjective. Okay? Well, but let's go back to this when to I don't know what. Compare with this sentence, he came to the theater. This is also an IV. But in this case, can I just say he came? Full stop. Yes. So in this other case, this is an adverbial adjunct of place. This is a necessary piece of information. Because if the person says he came, okay, this narrator thinks of himself or herself to be in the theater at that point. I mean, last week he came to the theater, we did, I don't know what. Okay? So this narrator is kind of positioning himself or herself in the theater at the moment of saying so.
Yes, but why an adjunct and not a complement? Because I cannot say he came where? To the theater. It's obligatory.
You can very well say, for example,
yes, but
I tell you, let's say, can I tell you, Claudio didn't come today? Yes. So I need to say to the class? Okay. Absolutely.
okay.
Okay. No.
Yes.
If you mention that, that is additional information. So it's not a complement. And then why? But there is some other reason. Well, let's see, clarify this. Because whenever we are talking about go, these verbs of directional movement involve displacement from one position to some other position. From this position, imagine that we are going to get at the Joaquin, okay? Well, and say, I need to go to the, then you will make a point of, I don't know, to the dentist, or to the toilet, or to your house, or to your office, or to, I don't know, to the school, or to some other place, etc., etc. Out of the very many possibilities that you have there, you will choose one. You will have to choose one. You will have to choose one. Okay, you cannot just say, he went, full stop. Okay, and say, he went to the library. He went to I don't know where. Okay, otherwise you would have said, he went away in transitive phrasal verb. Or he left. Okay, this is not the case with come. come involves from I don't know where to this point. Okay? For example, imagine that I tell you, sorry, Flavia, I don't have you on my record. Did you come last week? Yes. Okay,
Well,
that is meaning.
that has to do with shared information or new ones.
Yes, well, because precisely these are didactic words of, in this case, verbs. Okay?
Okay.
Right? But the point is that in go, you need to mention where, not in come. And then the other question is, what about arrive? And you know what? The problem is that arrive can mean go and reach or come and reach. Okay? For example, imagine that I'm telling you a story. Last week when I arrived at the airport, it was full of people and kind of complaining about the number of people there or whatever. Okay? It's more like come or go. I'm not positioning myself there. It's like go. Okay, so at the airport, in that context, will be a subjective complement. Okay, but if I ask you, okay, Marlena, at what time did you arrive today, for example? Probably, I was kind of checking because I was checking the exact time at which each of you got here. Okay, it's like come. So in that case, if we do mention at what time did you arrive at the class today, at the class is another relatant of place. So it depends on the context. Okay? To tell you the truth, seems to be most frequently used in this type of construction, particular being the other one. Okay? Is it clear?
Yes, clear.
Well, what else?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I said before the window broke and you told me to remember.
Okay, well, there are some other verbs, okay? For example, the window has broken, or let's say the ice has melted very early this morning, To tell you the truth, they are intransitive, and one type of intransitive verbs, because they occupy different positions. When we get to the tree analysis, okay, we will get to see that they are called anacusatives. Meaning, if I say the window has broken, okay, the window is not the doer of the breaking. Okay? Somebody or something, probably there was a stone, a storm, or I don't know what. The wind has broken the window. Okay, there is some other agent which or who I happen not to mention. Okay, so in that case, this is an IV in this type of construction. These are the verbs that can freely be used as TVs or IVs, depending on the context. Okay? When I say the butter has melted, meaning, come on, now you can add, I don't know, the milk or whatever, I don't know. okay? In a way, it's not that it has melted itself because it wanted to, let's say, because of the heat or probably because, you know, or whatever. Okay, there is some agent which is not mentioned there. Semantically speaking, the butter there, or the window, if the window has broken, is a theme or a patient. Okay? Yes, that's correct. Well, okay. What else?
Jose, can we start analyzing extract 6?
To correct this? Yes, yes, this one. Actually, we will correct because now I see that it's kind of 11:20, so let's correct this one. You must have noticed that this was a bit more difficult than the others, wasn't it? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's do it kind of quickly. Okay. And in particular, let's focus on some difficulties that you may have encountered. The first one is a complex sentence. Okay, the subject which is my sister Laura. All the rest is the predicate verbal phrase. Okay. Verbal phrase. Within the subject, the head noun is sister. On Laura is a restrictive apposition noun. Okay. Within the predicate, as the word ended, is the alternative time, which is an adverbial clause with angular brackets. As is the subordinating conjunction, the rest is divided into subject and predicate. The subject is the word, noun phrase, modified determinate head noun, and is the predicate verb phrase within the predicate head IV.
Jose, can't Laura be the head noun and sister pre-modifier adjective?
No, sister is not pre-modifier. To begin with, sister is not an adjective, it's a noun. Okay, no. In this
Jose,
case,
the subordinating conjunction is outside the subject and the predicate, right?
And the predicate, yes, that's right.
Great.
Yes, yes. Now, here, you know, this is the head noun. I could have just said my sister, and this is a restrictive apposition. Okay? Because this implies that, you know, this narrator has got more than one sister. Okay? Right? Now, the other problem is now, what is the head of this predicate? What do you think?
I think it's the transitive phrasal verb. Drove off.
Verb. Yes, I agree.
Just
The
drove.
verb, right?
It just drove. It just drove. The car is the O. Now, and off a bridge is the source. It's an adverbial adjective of place, PP. This is the big problem that throughout this extract you will have, okay? Because drove off is not, I mean, has no meaning here, okay? No. The same happens, you know, when you have the particle of involves separation. Okay, right? Sometimes this makes up of a phrasal verb. For example, let's say, I don't know, the conversation was put off. Okay. Or for example, when I say something like the handle came off. Okay. I'm getting out of my house or whatever. Okay. And for some reason, the handle came off. Se salió la manija.
Yes, but
Okay.
in the case of phrasal verbs, can be divided because of the do or just a preposition, a pronoun, sorry.
No. It's not a question of the category. I mean, no, you can say, no, it's not a question of the category. The category can be a noun phrase or a pronoun. No, it's not a question of that. It's a question of the meaning. Okay? It's a question of the meaning in a specific context. Okay? The problem is that, many of these particles can be either an adverb or a preposition. For example, in the handle came off. Okay? That came off is an intransitive phrasal verb, and off is a particle adverb. Have a look, at pages 149 to 152 in the book, in which you have way too many examples for all of the different types of phrasals and prepositionals there. Okay, and at the end of pages 151 and 152, you have how to analyze them there. Okay.
So, Jose, sorry. In this case, drive is not like in the case that you explained before, like go to some place, like I wrote like objective complement.
No, but it's not complementing the meaning of driving a car. No, okay. It's not complementing that. Okay. Objective complement means that, it complements the meaning of, the TV with the GO, meaning very frequently the meaning changes. For example, compare with, I found your book. Is that possible? Yes. This is one meaning. Found TV and then GO. Now, I found your book interesting. The meaning changes. Interesting is an OC. Okay? It's not that I found your book. Okay? This found means consider your book interesting. Okay? Right? It's a different tense.
I wrote down indirect object, but I don't know why I did that.
Which one? Sorry?
Off a bridge, instead of saying APP, I wrote down IO, indirect object.
No. Indirect object implies that this object, meaning if it is an indirect object, implies that this is the recipient of something. Okay? Or at least the intended recipient. Okay? And apart from that, if that were the case, the indirect object can also become the subject of a passive construction. Can you say such a thing as a bridge was driven off by a car? No way. Nothing to do with this. Okay? Which you can say, for example, he was given the keys. I gave him the keys. Him is an IO. Okay? I asked him a question. He was asked a question. Okay? Right?
How do you tell whether it's a prepositional verb or it's a verb that has like another particle, that in this case because then you have, for example, go through and roll down into, and well, is there any rule, or it's kind of a chaos?
No, it's a question of interpreting the meaning there. Yes, you have many of them here, okay, or some of them, I don't know, okay. That's why the point of all of this. Yes, there is not a thing, you know, in grammar there is not a rule of thumb, let's say. Okay, I mean, don't go for the shortcuts. Let's say you need to understand the meaning in a specific context. Okay. Let me see whether I want to show you some things here. Then
because
eventually,
drive off is a if you look for the if you look it up, it's there is a phrasal verb that is drive off, so it's kind of tricky.
yes, but what
the meaning is repel.
Yes, exactly. It's a completely different meaning. That's the point. Yes, exactly. Okay. Yes. I mean, very frequently, many of these expressions do exist. Okay. And the problem is that these particles in English are very frequently used in way too many contexts. Okay, right? That's why I told you, you know what? There are way too many examples there on these pages for you to start to have a look at, okay? And to see the difference between them, okay? And then eventually there are some weird cases such as the ones that you have here in this extract, okay? You need to understand, you know, from the point of view of meaning. For example, now that you mentioned this one, the bridge was being repaired. What was it? And, well, the bridge was being repaired. I mean, no need to analyze it there. Let's go to the other main clause here.
She went right through.
Yes, she went right through the, let me put it, just give more room. She went right through the danger sign. Well, she is the subject here. The rest is the predicate. We call phrase. Okay. Well, here we will have some discussion, I think. What is the head of this one? Come on, of this predicate.
Went.
Went. Yes. Go through does exist. Okay, go through does exist, in particular or in English. Okay, but in this case, this is not the intended meaning here. She went and then you have right through the danger sign, which is what?
Subjective complement.
Absolutely, which is APP.
I thought right was an adjunct, and through the danger sign was a subjective complement.
Yes, that was my question. Between the difference between an adverbial complement and a subjective complement. The same. I would think it is an adverbial complement. The same as somebody says, I don't know the name of the person. Yes, what is the difference precisely, Jose?
The difference between what and what, tell me?
Between a subjective complement and an adverbial complement. How can I?
I'm sorry, Paula. Do you mean adverbial complement or adverbial adjunct?
Adverbial complement.
Oh, but
okay.
And a subjective complement.
You know what? A verbal complement destroy that terminology. Forget about it altogether.
Okay.
Don't write it any longer.
That's why I was asking.
Okay. Now I can.
Meaning, make a big notice in which you say a verbal complement like this, you know. You need something like a big notice like this, you know. I don't know, probably. A verbal complement, or no, a verbal complement like this, and then you say, never, ever.
Okay. I will take a picture.
No longer. I don't know whether, yes, please do so. Do so.
No.
Somewhere, okay? Please do so, okay? Not any longer. Or predicative complement. You see how confusing they are, okay?
Okay.
No, definitely. No, forget about them. You know, every complement that is a PP will be an verbal complement, but we won't resort to that any longer. Okay, that's the point. Okay, because what's the point of saying that or calling it a verbal complement if within brackets we do write down the category? That's the point. Just because of that. Okay. Right. So let's go back to this one.
And when you say, I found the book interesting, that interesting is what?
You tell me, come on, who can tell me?
Objective complement.
Objective complement. It refers to the object. Meaning the complement refers to the, basically, of course there is some other one, but let's say it refers, if it refers to the subject, subjective complement. If it refers to the object, objective complement. End of story. Okay, right? Well, not the end, to tell you the truth, but there will be something else later on. Okay, right, okay. You need to understand the reasoning behind a specific framework. Okay, right? Right, okay. Now, what about right here? It's a premodifier to the preposition, which is an adverb. The problem is, you know what? Adverbs can modify virtually everything in English. They are less limited than the adverbs in Spanish. Okay? Adverbs can virtually modify anything. In particular, these short adverbs. Imagine that I'm talking about, let's say, my glasses. And I say, what are my glasses? And you tell me, just on your nose. This just works like this. It's a premodifier to the prepositional phrase on your nose. Okay, and it's an adverb. Okay, or he went straight to the theater. Straight is also some adverb that is pre-modifying the whole prepositional phrase. Okay, right? Is it clear? Okay, well, yes. Now that it's clear, let's complicate things a bit more, which is precisely what happens in the following sentence. Because in the following sentence, then, the car fell 100 feet into the ravine and rolled down into the shallow creek at bottom. Well, the one thing that I very well know is that the car is the subject. Okay, and the rest, of course, is the predicate. You follow? I guess that in this regard, we'll all agree. Okay? Now, by the way, the predicate is a compound verbal phrase. Because we have two heads, one of which is fell, and the other is roll down. Do you agree? Roll down is an intransitive phrasal verb. Then the particle within is an adverb. Down is an adverb. So as a verb, now here comes the $1 million question. What about fell? What kind of verb is that one?
Intransitive verb.
Intransitive.
Most of the times it is. Not here. Whenever you have the measure, this measure will be what? The TO. Same as saying, he ran 200 kilometers or 20 kilometers, probably not 200. Say, he ran 20 kilometers. Ran, most of the times, is intransitive. But 20 kilometers, in this other case, is a GO. So this is necessarily a...
I don't know. I thought it could be an adjunct of place or something, or distance or whatever. But now I realize.
No, precisely because it can become the subject of a passive construction. Okay, within which, now that I come to realize, you know, this is not the only, well, this is a noun phrase within which the head noun is feet.
Jose, isn't it a middle verb? Because you can't say 100 feet were fell by the car.
No, it's not a middle verb, no.
But you can't use it as the subject. Passive.
Well, probably we have to redefine what a middle verb is then. Okay, what is a middle verb? There are two entries for middle verb. Okay, in this case, probably with the meaning that the same as middle verb as have. You mean?
No, what I'm saying is that if it is the direct object and can't be the subject of the passive, then it should be a middle verb. But I don't know.
Yes, correct. Yes, you're right. Yes, good point. Yes, good point. Yes. But in some cases, it's like, let's say, weird, to say the least. Okay, yes, exactly. Yes, you're right.
And 100 is a pre-post modifier.
Yes, but it is.
Can you make it all together 100 like a modifier?
Precisely. Yes, you will have to, because imagine that it was like 200, 300, or whatever, 400. Okay, all of it is a pre-modifier.
Because it's a number like 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yes. The whole thing will become like a determinate phrase then. Okay, this would be a head determiner, which is precisely pre-modified by some other one. Okay, right? Then into the roughing is the destination, so this is another verbal adjunct of place PP. well, no need to analyze it within. And the same also for the other of a reluctant of placed into the shallow creek at the bottom. I think. Let's try to cover, oops, the other complication that we can have here. I guess that in the following sentence, there is some other complication.
When it comes to into the shallow creek at the bottom, you would say that all the whole thing is a very rational place. So at the bottom is modify. It's okay.
Yes, supposed modify. Okay. And within us, there is some other version that I would have also accepted. But I mean, this is the one that I prefer. Yes. Okay. If you read between the lines. Now, let's see what happens here. Policemen informed me that there have been an accident, so complex sentence. The subject of which is a policeman. And the rest is the predicate of the phrase. Whose head is
Informed.
Which is a
Transitive verb.
Yes. Because here you do have an IO. And a GO, which is a platinum clause with angular brackets. Now what happens here? That is the subordinating conjunction. There is the
subject.
What kind of subject?
Is the anticipatory subject?
Existential there.
Yes, anticipatory subject, which is an expletive. Yes, the existential there, precisely. Which tells us that there must be a real subject, which is
an accident.
An accident.
Yes. Noun phrase. Pre-modified determinate head noun. But then the rest, have been, is a predicate. But there is a problem here. Because here we've got a verbal group. Had is the auxiliary for the perfective aspect. And being is the head, which is what kind of verb?
That was a doubt.
Copulative, yes. Be is copulative. If it's not an auxiliary, it is a copulative verb.
But isn't it an auxiliary for the passive?
No, for the passive. No. No. If it's an auxiliary for the passive, then what is the main verb?
Informed.
No, but this is outside the clause. You have said, I was informed that a policeman, let's say, well, probably, let's say, here is, the narrator is some she, okay? You could have said, she was informed that blah, blah, blah. No, it's a completely different thing.
Mariano, informed is the main verb of the main clause, and then been is the main verb of the subordinate.
Within the subordinate clause, yes, within the subordinate clause, yes, exactly.
Sorry, I have a question, Jose. Why is it that the predicates in the subordinating is not closed.
Oh, here it comes.
Okay. Okay.
Shouldn't it be because copular verbs need a subjective complement and here we don't have one?
Exactly. Then?
Is there a gap?
Is a gap?
No. Gap only in some defined relative clauses. No.
Is there a relation?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, my phone is probably connect to it. This one. A second. This is what happens in a specific type of construction. This so-called existential clauses. Or existential constructions. Very early in life, you've learned that these work like this. The, which is the anticipatory subject, now let's put it the technical term, an expletive. Then you have is, some form of the verb to be, let's say, must be, has been, well, etc., etc. Okay. Then you have the real subject. I don't know, a cat, two people, well, etc., etc. Okay, whatever. And then somewhere which can be, from the point of view of meaning, either place of time. From the point of view of meaning, but it doesn't mean that it is an action of place or an action of time, mind you. Because all of this is the predicate. Let's take one of them, I don't know. There is the cat under the chair. There are two people in the corridor. There must be several doubts in this assignment, and so on and so forth. Okay? Well, in any case, the head of this predicate is or are or be, which is the copulative verb. Then this requires some locative or temporal complement, which is a subjective complement. Let's say typically, I don't know, a PP or of course some other category as well, right?
But in this case, is it elided, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Point is that this can very frequently is, or this very frequently is elided. You look out to the window and you say, oh, I don't know, you call somebody at home and say, come, please help me, there is a spider. Is that possible? Yes. no need to mention in the kitchen or under the whatever. Okay, right? So in a specific context, you tend to elide it. Then, if that is the case, then as in, I don't know. As in this example, you will have to recover. The elided element. Six, here. But the rewrite it, because it's disappeared. Within this one, okay, there is the anticipated subject, and actually we said the real subject. Then I must have mentioned that this is the predicate, verbal phrase, okay, a verbal group, obviously for the perfective aspect. Being, we said this is a copulative verb, so it does need a subjective complement. Which one? So we will have to provide something, recover from the context what's been elided, let's say on the road or on the M5 or I don't know, whatever, so that we need to make a point of what the subjective complement is. Okay? We recover the subjective complement that from a context.
So it's going to depend on the context.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, right? And many of you will come up with something different. Okay, as long as you come up with something that makes sense. Okay, and no need to go to analyze. Let's say to go down and analyze it within, because this is something that you recovered. Meaning, I no need for me to write down PP. I mean, if you want to, that's fine, but no need.
Should we write it outside of the square bracket?
Yes, well, because in the way with the arrows, we're signaling, that this is kind of the elided element. Okay.
And always outside. I mean, with the arrow and everything, but.
I mean, if you do have room here, I don't know if you do have room here. Okay, fine. Don't worry. Okay. Okay. Well.
Sorry, I have another question. As regards the previous sentence, we were analyzing the phrase 100 feet, and I wrote pre-modifier DP. What does it stand for? DP, determinant phrase?
Determinant phrase, yes, determinant phrase.
Okay, okay.
It tells you that the head is a determinant.
Okay.
Well, we can probably, let's skip a couple of things, because, I want to go straight to something that is very interesting, the most interesting part in this extract, which is, I think, this sentence. Yes, this one. Let's go to this one. They had noticed her hands on the wheel because she'd been wearing wet clothes that caught their attention. Okay. Here, you will either end up understanding grammar, or you will have some further problem. I don't know. Hopefully, let's go for the positive. Well, compound complex sentence. No, they notice because no complex, just complex. Right? The subject, which is they.
White gloves that had called their attention. Isn't that right?
But it's within the because clause.
Oh,
okay. Okay? This is the subject, pronominal phrase, head. Head. Pronoun. Or the rest is the predicate. verbal phrase. Within the predicate, here we have a verbal group. Had is the auxiliary for the perfective aspect. And notice to say chifi. So far, good? Well, don't write down anything because, here, I'm a truly beginner and I can make some mistakes. Okay, don't copy what I'm going to write down now. Okay? So pay attention to the way I'm going to analyze this. Probably because I'm kind of learning. Let's say, what is the geo? I mean, TV requires a geo. Which one? Probably.
Her hands.
Her hands on the wheel.
On the wheel.
Her hands
Well,
on the wheel.
I don't know. So let's take it. Let's go for her hands on the wheel. Okay? Geo, no phrase. Please don't copy anything. Okay? Well, so the head noun of which is hands. And on the wheel then is the, come on.
If it's inside, it is a post modifier, right? Or it should be.
Yes. If it is inside, it must be a post modifier PP. Very good. Well, within which you can very well analyze, head preposition, object verb preposition, noun, phrase, etc., etc. So far so good? Now, this thing that I've done is not wrong, but very wrong. Why? Let's see. Well, I need to allow the camera now for you to have a look at me, okay? Because let's see whether we understand what actually a post modifier is. For example, can you see, let's say, the pen that I got in my right hand? What color is it?
Orange. And I got in is a post modifier.
Orange. Okay. Now, why the need for me to resort to the post modifier? Imagine that I tell you, can you see the pen? The next question will be, which one? Okay, because you can get to see two of them. If I say the pen, I'm focusing on one of them in particular. So, why they need to resort to a post modifier? If I say, can you see the pen?
So it's restricting, or it's trying to say
something. Absolutely.
And here the hands, there's no need to restrict the hands.
Give me a second. Now, imagine that again, the remote control has got low batteries. Okay, you see that in a specific context, okay, this is incomplete. Because you see, your next question will be, which one? This one or this other one? But if I tell you the remote control that, I don't know, turns on the, that controls the air conditioner, or that I have got in my right hand, or that blah, 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 blah. Okay, now it's clear what I'm talking about. So the idea of a post modifier is to restrict the reference so that you know who we are talking about or what we are talking about. Now, let's go back to the sentence. Is it clear? Okay. Now, in this case, if I tell you, her hands on the wheel, and I analyze it this way, this would have meant that she's got some other hands, I don't know where. Is that possible? No, unless she was an octopus, which is not the case here. If we were in the singular here, this would have been some possible analysis. And this would have meant they had noticed her hand on the wheel, not the other hand, meaning they hadn't noticed where she had the other hand. You understand what I mean? But this is not the case here. You have it in the plural, and she has got only two of them. Then this analysis is definitely impossible. Can you follow? Okay, from the point of view of meaning, you see the connection between syntax and also semantics. Okay, so this thing that I've done here is absolutely wrong. Okay, definitely wrong. So the only possibility here it will be that. Oh, come on, I cannot erase it. Well, let me correct it in red or whatever. Okay, that the geo only is this one, and then this other thing is additional information, which is an adverbial item of place, PP. You understand it now? Okay, this is the point of the post modifier. Okay, to identify an item out of a set of possibilities that could have been referred to. Okay. Well, at least this is what I wanted to make a point of. Is it clear now?
So sorry,
okay.
No,
if you go back to all,
if I mean there is a this is an adjunct of place because her hands couldn't be anywhere else. That's what you are saying.
Yes, exactly. Okay, I mean, this is referring to, you know, where they had noticed her hands. To the noticing, is not post-modifying the hands. It refers to the verb, to the verbal item there. Okay, right? When you say such a thing as, I was playing, I don't know, I was playing in the garden. In the garden refers to where is it that you call it a verbal item of place? Because it refers to where the action of playing was being carried out. Can you follow? Okay. It's kind of clear now. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do the following then. probably, because it's kind of almost time now, okay, and we haven't been able to correct all of it, okay, but then Julieta then will share the key to this one.
Hi, Jose, sorry.
Yes.
Again,
Paula.
how can I say? They notice her hands. Her hands, where? I need a complement. Okay, no more adverbial complement. I understood. But why an adverbial adjunct? Because
example,
is it not obligatory on the wheel?
Definitely not. No. For example,
I can't
can you say
see
no? No. Give me a minute. No. Give me a second.
Okay.
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Can I tell you in a specific context? Have you noticed my mistake?
Yes.
Is that possible? Now, I don't need to say, notice my mistake in the sentence?
Yes.
Notice is a verbal perception that does not require anything else but the DO. If you do mention anything else, is additional information that is not changing the meaning of noticing.
Okay, now I see.
Right?
Thank you. Now I see.
Okay. So, Julieta, then I guess that all of you have done all of the analysis in all of the extract, okay, and you still have, some doubts here or there, okay, and probably, Juli, will you share the key with them so that they have this one, okay? And then I guess that we will have to do some other assignment, so as to put some pressure on you now, okay? Probably because after you've done this, number 6, okay, the rest will be very easy. So
you asked us to do number 10 for next week.
Yes, that one we will have to correct in class all together, and I guess that you will have way too many doubts there as well, okay? Or even, bring up everything that you still don't understand from the corrections or whatever, right?
Jose, sorry for the interruption. So I should share with them the key for extract 6, 7, and 8?
No, only 6.
Okay, perfect.
Well, 6 and something else, but probably we will have to choose something for them to do. Let me see.
Maybe some sentences from 7 to hands in, and then the key.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and probably, what you will share 6, 7, 9, and probably these couple of things will be the assignment for them to do. Okay? These 2 sentences from number 2, I think they are, right? 2 or 3. Well, 3.
Sorry, which extract is this?
Extract 8, I think. Okay, now, anyway, I will copy them, in the classroom, okay, as it is here. By the way, you remember, for example, who can read out this sentence? Come on. Of course, you haven't read it. I don't know. Let's take it back, blah, blah, blah. Those terrifying images shocked his life and that of his wife with fatal brutality. From that moment, she would phone him with little notice. Although he wouldn't come back home immediately, she would demand his presence. He would regret her lack of confidence, and a month later, he wasn't satisfied what she requested. Come on, who can go on?
He remembered
which extract? Sorry.
Number eight. Come on, Belen, come on, go ahead.
He remembered what he had read in the psychology books he had been given. Now he could understand their problems. The tower was his phallic symbol and the plane stood for his wife.
Well, probably, sometimes with first reading, kind of sometimes problematic. Well, let me give you some clue. The actual meaning is he remembered what he had read in the psychology books he had been given.
Okay.
Right? Precisely, if when you go back to this and you understand the meaning there, you will see that the what there is the element that is given a lot of meaning. Okay? In a way, I'm telling you that this is a WH focus now, okay? Right? Well, so so all of this will be from here remembered up to the end will be the assignment that you will have to hand in, let's say, for next time. Okay? Right?
Okay.
Jose,
Okay.
one last question.
Yes.
What if we, well, what's the score we have to get, the mark, and what would happen if we don't get that?
The passing mark should be 7 or more, okay? If you try to reach the so-called, let's say, promotion, so to speak. Okay.
Will there be a makeup or something?
No, there will be some other assignments.
Okay.
Okay. So I will consider everything that you done throughout the course. Okay.
Entonces es un promedio, no es que todos tenemos que tener un 7.
Claro.
It's
Same question.
not exactly promedio, es lo que se llama un promedio por. O sea, si alguien se saca 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 1, ¿sí? Well, forget about it. Si viene al revés, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, ahí vemos qué pasa. Así que andamos muy bien. Fantástico. But do make an effort, okay? Right.
Pero hay un promedio entre el escrito y el oral, o sea, ahí tiene que dar un 7 para estar más o menos en
No, estamos hablando de cosas distintas. No, estamos hablando de cosas distintas. O sea, una cosa es el examen. El examen sí o sí, y eso no se negocia. No, perdón, en el caso de ustedes es un 6. ¿Sí? En el caso de Joaquín es un 6. Bueno, sí, pero para los assignments no, mira, para los assignments es un 7 o más, chao. ¿Sí? O sea, you make an effort, okay? Here, go and do your reading and everything, okay? For the, o sea, para las exams, se van a tener 2 exámenes, uno a mitad de año, bueno, ahora ya dentro de poquito, ¿sí? Y otro a fin de año, ¿sí? Para llegar a una promoción, que no sé si vamos a hacer una promoción legal, pero va a ser, de alguna manera van a tener algún buen beneficio, digamos, ¿sí? De tal manera de hacer el examen final entonces un trámite, ¿sí? Sí o sí tienen que llegar a 6 o más, ¿sí? Y van a tener que tener, digamos, una buena nota de los assignments, ¿sí? ¿Está? O sea, alguien que no me entregó nada durante todo el año, o que entregó y le fue todo para el diablo, bueno, no way. Okay? Right?
Okay.
Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Any other questions?
One last question. In extract 5, there's a sentence that is, it came as a big surprise to Martha, So yes. Well, in that case, it came is a light verb, but light is something connected with meaning.
Yes.
So what should we put there?
IV.
Okay.
IV.
Okay.
Now, as a big surprise to Martha, all of that, you know, is the subjective complement because the meaning lies there.
Yes, I know.
Okay, right? But for Kane, right?
So it's a subjective complement, but and a PP.
Yes.
Okay.
It was, as a big surprise, right? Yes, that's the PP. Yeah.
And came is not a copulative verb
No.
there. No.
No. Come is a copulative verb in he come and done. He come and done. Okay, he's come and done or something like that. Okay, expressions like those. Come is a copulative verb. Okay. Ven que está seguido de algo que es necesariamente adjetivo. Fíjate que si vos tenés que pensar en la traducción de eso, ¿qué es come and done? He has come and done. ¿Qué quiere decir? Se desplomó, qué sé yo, se vino abajo, algo por el estilo, no sé. ¿Sí? O sea, todo el significado está en el and. Ese come, ahí es recontra light verb, es un verbo liviano, ¿sí? Que no tiene demasiado sentido, ¿sí? Pero ahí es copulativo porque and es un adjetivo. ¿Sí? ¿Ok?
Yes.
The same with he went crazy. Es como se volvió loco. He became crazy. Okay? Right? Okay. Well, is it clear?
Yes.
So keep on reading the book. Okay? Keep on practicing. You come up with all of the questions you think of next time. Okay?
Do we have a date for the holidays?
Yes.
So as to have the date of the exam?
Well, I think so. Yes. No, I think that we do. Then it is on the, will be on the July the 16th. Okay, the very last day. Then,
Great.
Day before the winter holidays. Okay?
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it's kind of coming because less than a month, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
There's a holiday on the 9th, so that class wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you're right. Yes. Okay?
Yes.
And
Okay.
Jose, the marks of the last assignment will be having these days. Assignment number 3.
Get the question.
No, because some of us haven't received the mark of the feedback, the last assignment.
The previous one. Because there was something I was locals that I missed, to correct some assignment. Okay, no, you will have it. Yeah, you will have it over the weekend. You will have everything back. Okay. Please do let me know. Okay. If there is anything else that is pending, please do let me know. But no, yeah, I will check it out. And it will be, no, I thought that it was in some other course in the language. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. Okay. Yes, you have it. Okay, so see you next time. This will be to be handed in before, let's say, or up to next Friday. Okay, up to 10, let's say. Okay, in the morning. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So that, okay.
Well, bye. See you next time.
Bye-bye. See you all.
Bye. Bye.